Hi guys, she's back. Okay, so today is about some updates I want to give you guys some feedback on. Now, in my past videos, I went over certain things that transpired, and I also tried to give you insight as to how to get certain things accomplished, right? So now I want to bring you guys some updates. And one of the laws that I am using is a non-religious based method because I asked myself when I left religion, I asked myself, what did human beings do before they had organized religion, right? And what I discovered was that human beings, okay, looked at the heavens, looked at the earth, and spiritual looking, um, because I always believed there were people with psychic abilities on this planet, right? Looked at things in the spirit realm, okay, and used those as a means of getting answers. Now, some people, my head wrap just fell, so we'll just leave it like this. Now, some people choose to petition specific beings, that is, negative entities, or fallen angels, or demons, or jinn, or whatever you want to classify them as. That is not the route I am going. I always go with the safe route, okay? And I always go with the route of good. So if you don't believe in divine good, this page is not for you. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is give a job search update. And I want to tell everyone thank you for the positive energies and thank you for the feedback, because I have been hired in the exact field that I asked the universe for. I requested it. I focused my energies in that area, okay? And the door opened up, and I have no complaints. I have no complaints, and I know that I will not have complaints. I love the environment. I like the people. I have no complaints whatsoever. Okay, so again, I asked the universe, I focused my energies in that direction, and a door opened up, and I am grateful because that is where I want to be, because of certain things in my life that I said I need to time travel and correct. Okay, there are things in my life that needed to be corrected. Okay, not only that, but that's not the only reason, but that's one of them. So, job search update, I am employed and I am happy with where I am. Okay. The second thing is a dream update. Now, I have a dream update with a dream update, okay? And the second thing, I'll be quick about this, is a dream. Now, if you watch my previous video, you would see that I posted about a dream and dream interpretation, right? So I went through what the dream meant, and I went through what the interpretation meant. So what's ironic is that a couple days ago, I had a second dream mirroring the first dream that I had. And in this second dream, I basically was brought into I was actually outside of the church. Sorry, it started outside, and I was surrounded by a bunch of pastors. And the pastors were basically like, shut up. And I was like, no, I'm not going to shut up at what you did to me. I'm going to tell the whole world. And I kept screaming, 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 screaming. And they were like, shut up. And the more they told me shut up, the louder I screamed, and the louder I petitioned to the universe. I petitioned to the heavens, I petitioned to the earth, I petitioned to the power structures that be, I petitioned to anything that lives, moves, and breathes. I'm like, you are not doing this to me. And I stay silent. I will petition to the sun, moon, and stars. I will petition to the wind. I will petition to the rain, the sleet, the snow, you name it. As long as it has life in it, I'm petitioning. Like, they were basically trying to get me to shut up, and I refused, and I kept screaming because I'm like, I'm not going to permit you to ruin my life, ruin my reputation, destroy my name, humiliate me globally, and I must walk around with my head stuck in the sand. No, the more they told me in the dream to shut up, the louder I screamed. Finally, in the dream, all the pastors, I was surrounded by a bunch of male pastors, they picked me up, dropped me inside of the church and doled out compensation. Okay. And they gave me this compensation, and basically they said to me, get out of here and never come back. And I took the compensation and I left. Now, I think that dream is pretty straightforward, right? It's basically when you are going through something that is unjust, okay, many people tend to give up, okay, or many people turn to their own deities to get answers, okay, or to get assistance or to get justice for what they suffered. And a lot of times people petition these deities to get justice and they don't get justice. Some petition these deities and they get justice, some petition and they don't. Actually, a lot petition and they don't, right? And basically what this dream meant is that those who ganged up to do evil against me ended up, for one reason or the other, having to compensate me for the damages. And I'm going to list out what those damages are. One of the damage was they violated my privacy, and they violated every area of my life practically, right? But they violated me in such a way that was against the law, okay? Then they tried to destroy my reputation from ever finding employment in specific fields, right? Slander and libel, which is again a legality. And then, as I mentioned before, I am implanted, okay? I have biomedical implants, okay, or RFID chips inside of me illegally, okay? So these are some of the injustices that I incurred, okay? And I'm going to be honest with you. When I petitioned Jesus, I did not get help. I'm just going to be honest with you, okay? This is not against Christians. I am just telling you, when I petitioned Jesus, I did not get help, okay? I found answers to take me through the problem, but I never got the problem resolved. And what was interesting was that when I abandoned Christianity, and I abandoned a lot of the principles of Christianity, except for the very nature of good and the very nature that there is a universal force at work keeping the universe in harmony. Hi, viewer. Thank you for joining in. Thanks. Okay. When I abandoned a specific deity as being Lord over all, and I aligned myself with the universe and the fact that there is a governing force, whatever that is, that holds this universe together, that keeps this universe from collapsing on itself, that keeps this universe from going into chaos, that maintains peace in the universe and goodwill in the universe. When I align myself and I remove the name of the deity, and I align myself to the good of the universe, that's when I started receiving answers. I made my requests, and I don't call them prayers, okay? I call them requests. And I made my verbal requests specifically to the universe. That is when I started getting answers. That is when I started receiving answers. I prayed to Jesus for, don't get me wrong, it's not that Jesus didn't answer some prayers, okay? I got, the answers that I got was more knowledge, okay? It was more knowledge. It wasn't necessarily how to put an end and turn things around to favor me. It was basically a better understanding of what caused it, who caused it, why it occurred. as opposed to physically changing the realm in which it happened and turning the clock back to receive what is rightfully mine. You see the difference? So I'm not saying that the deity that is Jesus did not answer. The answers that I got were specific to understanding. But I evolved from, I don't want to understand what happened to me. I want to reverse what happened to me. And I want justice for what happened to me. You understand? And those answers, which are in the physical realm, I did not get from Jesus. And when I abandoned the deity that is Jesus and I began to petition the universe, I kid you not, to request to the universe specifically what I wanted and where I wanted to be, I got answers. Guys, I'm telling you, because of what these demons did, it was difficult for me to get work since I left the UN in 2011. This is 2017. Okay? Between 2011 and 2017, it was difficult for me to find work. And when I abandoned Jesus as being Lord over the universe, and I began to petition the universe, in 1 month, I'm working. I'm not lying to you. In 1 month. And not just that I'm working where I want to be. Okay? And I didn't just specifically petition the universe. There is a distinction. The universe is very distinct. I did not just petition entities in the universe. That can get you into trouble because there are all sorts of entities floating around in this universe. You have to be specific. I petitioned the governing force of this universe that is holding the multiverses together. And it is holding the multiverse together through what I call some sort of divine good. Okay, and I petitioned the good forces in the universe and I said to them, I need your help. And so far, the answers have been coming like that. And I'm like, Jesus, what happened? I'm just telling you what I experienced. And I also petitioned them for protection. I also petitioned the good, only good, because that is the side I choose to align myself with. Okay? People align themselves with different forces in the universe. I align myself only with good because I do not want to be a detriment to humanity. And I do not want anyone to be a detriment to me. So I align myself with specific forces in the universe. Those who are good, those who are there to protect those who are good, those who are there to reveal things that I need to know, and those who are there to help me, do what I need to do, right? So I started getting answers. Guys, think about it. I'm just letting you know. Okay, so that's just one. So that's the dream. The dream is pretty straightforward. Okay, and it will come to pass. And I'm no better than you. If the universe can do this for me, why can't it do the same for you? Okay. Okay, the second thing I wanted to speak about was, I spoke about that, the laws of the universe, and me petitioning the universe. The second wisdom I want to give you is the laws of the sea. But not just the sea, water. Okay? There is a secret in this world. Okay? That secret is called maritime law. And I'm not even going to try to explain maritime law because I can't, but basically it's the law of commerce. But what is interesting about this law is that although humanity, our rightful place is on land and sometimes water, sometimes we do need water, right? We are not aquatic beings. Our dominion is on land, right? Main dominion is on land. But in my research, I've discovered a principle, and I'm going to test this principle to see what happens. And I'll give you guys feedback and let you know. I learned that the governing force of wealth in this world is water. It's water. And it goes back to the forces that developed maritime law. And maritime law governs business, industry, and commerce. So while you're here praying to the universe for help, there is a divine force that's been given to us in this globe that governs wealth. Now, I am petitioning. Let me set some boundaries here. I am petitioning non-contractually. I am not making contracts with any entities, just in case there's deceit. Second, my petition does not mean that I am going to worship. You see the difference? Third, I am only petitioning for what is divinely mine. Okay? And finally, I only petition to good, meaning do no harm if that person is in a state of peace. Self-defense, yes. Protection, yes. But I only petition to entities or energies that is good. That is, do no harm, not deceitful, and not evil. Because there are a lot of entities floating around. So I put these boundaries up. Okay? So my second experiment is to make my requests to the waters in the world and in the multiverses. Because in this world, wealth is generated from one place. Maritime law governs all the wealth on this planet. Go look it up. Business, industry, commerce, all of it is governed under maritime law. And today I had an epiphany. Maybe you're aiming in the wrong direction. And I am not aiming to become a billionaire. Okay? I am not aiming to be in Forbes 500. That's not my desire. I am aiming for what is divinely mine. So let's see if the C's answer. Okay? So today's topic was job search update. I'm working. The second update was a dream about a dream. So an interpretation of a dream, of one dream, and then a second occurrence of the dream in which I was compensated for the damage that these said people did to me. And it will happen. Because I petitioned forces higher than them. And I also made covenants that if I don't get justice, I will get justice. And then the laws of the universe and making your petition to the laws of the universe, to the universes, multiverses, but only with those which are good. And then as you're in the earth, making your petition without contracts, because contracts usually require some sort of worship and oblation. Okay, meaning that you have to give gifts and you have to worship in a specific, I ain't got time for that. But respectfully requesting what is divinely yours because you are born with mind, body, and spirit. And there's a fourth element with being human. It's mind, body, and spirit, and energy. And we never speak about this fourth element of being a human. Speak about mind, body, and spirit, healing all three. But when we disincarnate, we go back into the spirit realm as what? Energy. So one of the forces that we seldom ever speak about is our state as energy, which cannot be created nor destroyed. Okay, so those are the updates. I didn't take that long. Let's see what else. Perhaps I can give you guys some guidelines because I have a couple of minutes. I can give you some guidelines about petitioning the universe. The first thing I want to do is, some will say, what if you petition with intent and specificity and you don't get answers? Okay, I didn't get here yesterday. I had to do a lot of cleaning and I had to do time travel, okay, where I had to go back in time and right a whole bunch of wrongs. Okay, I literally had to time travel spiritually and physically to undo a lot of wrongs. And by undoing those wrongs, I began to discover that those contracts that were made, the universe and the entities in the universe, whenever I made a petition for something, they are only allowed to recognize what contracts preceded me. So if I'm asking, universe, I need XYZ, and I am unaware that there is this outstanding contract against me, the universe will recognize that contract first before it recognizes my petition. And I had to go and break certain things that should not have been there and then put in the correct timeline and what I wanted to come through into the future so that I can have the correct timeline and get answers and get into specific positions that I needed to be in. Okay, so that was one exercise. So time traveling, going back in time and undoing mistakes that you made that affected your timeline. And that most importantly, because not necessarily it's something you did, it's 9 times out of 10, it's always something someone did that got you into this mess. And being able to go back in time, excuse me, I'm going to slope. Okay, being able to go back in time and undoing things that you may have done and other people did, right? And then correcting those things and enforcing what you want, putting in a new timeline in place of the old timeline and dissolving the old timeline and enforcing the new timeline by your actions, by your speech, by your associations, etc., etc., etc. Right? So that's one of the things you have to do, right? Okay, so that's one of the exercises you could do before you petition. And that alone in and of itself will take a very long time to do, depending on how much, spiritual bondage, mental bondage. I can't say it's going to take a day. Let's say, you've been, there's a history of certain things in your family. It may take a couple weeks. Let's say there's, there's certain things that happen to you on this side that people did. It may take a little while for you to undo it, for you to figure out, these kinds of things, right? So these are some of the things. So time travel, going back into your past, okay? And guys, let me give you something. If someone does, okay, the universe, think of the universe as giant DNA, okay? Your DNA encodes everything that happens to you. Whether you get a cold, you go to the doctor, you cut your finger, the doctor pokes you with a needle, you get sick, you're healthy, you jump, you're sick, everything, your color, your mind, your brain, everything that happens to a person gets encoded in their DNA. It's literally like what the Bible, your DNA is literally what the Bible calls a book of life. Okay? So the universe is exactly the same way. Think of it as a giant, I don't want to call it double helix, because I think the universe is far more than two strands, okay? Because it's far more advanced than Earth. God help us for going out there and causing misery in the universe, but that's beside the problem. Hopefully they'll like contain the humans and dump them back on the planet. Well, then again, ship them off to Mars. But think of the universe as a giant DNA, but it doesn't have to be double helix, right? It's probably more. But the point is that it encodes everything that happens, okay? And the purpose for me saying this is your life is the same way. It literally encodes what you do and what other people do to you. So even if you've overcome something, it doesn't necessarily mean that your timeline has been changed. Why do I say that? If you do something, it gets encoded. If someone does something to you, it gets encoded. And whether you do something or someone does something to you, it can affect the trajectory, meaning the point in which your life is moving. It can literally, actions can literally cause the trajectory of your life to change. Whether you commit the action or someone else does it against you. And this is something we do not even pay attention to. So whenever you go through things, don't just forgive. Don't just forgive. Because what forgiveness does is it erases the debt. And you're telling the universe, look, I've been robbed and cheated and whatever, or I've been abused, or this happened to me, or this happened, and I forgive them. You're telling the universe that you don't want justice for what was done to you. You're telling the universe you want the injustice done against you to be erased. How is that helping you to change your timeline? And what ends up happening is that you end up creating a new timeline for yourself based upon that action. And the old timeline, you will never know that old timeline to its fulfillment. You see the difference? You will never know that old timeline that was literally knocked off course. You will never know it. Because now that tiny little action created a new timeline, right? And then you come in and then you forgive on that timeline. Okay, and you knock your correct timeline away without knowing where your timeline would have taken you, meaning your destiny that was encoded into you when you incarnated. Okay, so it is important before you forgive, make sure you get justice and make sure you get peace. Okay, it doesn't mean that you'll be stingy with forgiveness forever. Because there are some people who will be remorseful, and then there are some people who are miserable, who will never be remorseful, no matter what. Okay? You cannot forgive people who are not remorseful for changing your destiny. If I did not go into that place, I would never be slandered today. Go back. Who took me to that place? If I had not met that person, I would not have gone into that place, and that would never have happened. Then I had to go back even further. How did I meet that person? I met that person through this person. If I had not listened to this person who introduced me to this person, who introduced me to these people, that would not, you see what I'm saying about going back in time? Then you begin to put pieces of the puzzle together. And then you begin to examine the people and you say to yourself, if I had never met that person, it's you. And then what you do is you erase them from your timeline, okay? and you reintroduce the correct timeline. And when I went back in time, I discovered a bundle of things that should not have been done. And I erased it all. And I reinstituted my old timeline with my old destiny, and I'm going to fulfill that destiny. Now, I cannot stop people from believing what they want to believe about me. They are free to believe what they want to believe about me. I am not free to believe them believing what they want to believe about me. Okay? And I won't do it. So, guys, that's one little nugget for you to learn. Okay? And I hope that this little nugget helped you today. And I hope that it brings you peace. And I hope that it blesses you. And have a wonderful evening. Peace out.